I think the steps that the Orlando task force have suggested are definitely solid suggestions towards getting people that way. I mean, they want to feel like the social distancing is going to be there, that the people are en masse, that they've got the ability to keep things clean and sanitized. So it's definitely, and that the parks aren't going to be wall-to-wall crowded either. So it's definitely a start. Now, whether it's enough, ultimately that's up to the public to decide. Though I think they might be happy to open with a more limited audience of just locals at first, because they've got to test all this stuff. This is new to them. They haven't done operations like this before. I remember when I worked at Disney, the one phrase we kept telling people was, please keep up with the party in front of you. No one's going to be saying that anymore. It's going to be, please keep 6 feet away from the party in front of you at all times. So you've got to retrain all of your staff to do this. So it might be easier to do that with a more limited crowd. I think a lot of the things that are being considered in Orlando are really things that are going to become industry standard, not just in Central Florida, but in Southern California, in Ohio, in the Midwest, in the Bay Area, obviously. The theme parks are going to have to be following, because there are only so many ways you can do social distancing in a theme park. There are only so many ways that you can do social distancing in a queue. Do you have to start using virtual queues instead of actual physical ones? Do you have to give people assigned times to come into the park as opposed to just first come first serve? The nightmare scenario here, the thing that everybody wants to avoid, is Florida reopens its theme parks and there's a huge outbreak. There's a second wave that is sparked by, I remember here in Southern California when there was a measles outbreak that was traced to someone at Disneyland, and it became the Disneyland measles outbreak. It was not Disneyland's fault in any way, but they became associated with it because they were a big brand name. Nobody wants to be the Disney World, Universal Orlando, Florida coronavirus second wave. So I think there's going to be a lot of reticence on the part of the theme parks to rush into a reopening until not only can they make the public feel safe, but they know that they're not going to be putting the public in danger in a way that would risk some type of failure that could permanently damage the lucrative theme park industry. If you can get to a vaccine, if you can get to herd immunity, if you can get to therapeutics for this, then absolutely, we're getting very close to where we are. But the thing is, this is going to change the marketplace. People might decide that, I like a little bit more of a socially distanced theme park. I like the virtual queues as opposed to standing in those physical queues before. There may be some public demand for some of the things that people want to hold on to, so that the parks that can go to more of a virtual queue, more of a concierge type service, that might be the way that the industry begins to go into the future because of this experience.